All right, the podcast is back. And this time, Peter actually wants to do the podcast.
Well,
kind of.
I don't really care.
Today, because it is apparently some sort of gameplay release trailer for Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about Baldur's Gate, which is a game that came out in 1997, 1999. It had a sequel. There were lots of games using the same engine as it, the Infinity engine. Basically, it's kind of it's second edition D&D.
It's a modified version or second edition.
Yeah, modified second edition D&D. It's very good. The first game's very good. I have never finished it because I never put in the time. It's very good for 1999 game. It basically it's basically an open world game to a certain extent, right? There's a certain amount of data on the thing. When it came out, the reason they had to put it on like 6 discs was because it was open world.
Yeah.
It had so much data on it.
The original game is very open world. There's tons of stuff that are
super open world, and the sequel is also like that too.
The sequel is less. So the way the first game worked is you a little bit of spoiler, but you essentially like get forced out of your home. Your foster father is dead. You have no idea where to go.
This is like chapter 1 stuff.
But so you're just kind of roaming around, and they mention like it's really good how like how they set up for you to start the story, because you don't have to. There's no way to like start the story. It's a very D&D-esque way to start the story.
You kind of just do stuff.
They give you the way it works is you are a single character, but then you get NPCs which you can play, which become fighters for you.
You basically, if you go around the world, there's a select amount of characters which are NPCs in the game that if you talk to them, and usually they have a quest associated with them.
Most of the time
they have a quest.
Generally, it's a simple quest. In Baldur's Gate 2, it's more complicated and lengthy ones.
But if you do the quest for them, so it depends on the character. They all have different things, but they'll join you as your party. You can have 6 people in your party, so 5 in addition to your player character.
Yeah.
And if you want, you can create your own party.
Yeah,
entirely from scratch and just play as that. That's what Dad always did.
I don't think you can do that.
I believe that's an option.
No. I don't think you can.
I thought you could.
I know you can do that with multiplayer.
Yeah. I think the game doesn't want you to do that, so it doesn't make the options to do that obvious. I think it involves importing and exporting characters.
Oh.
Right? Like you make...
Oh, yeah, you can definitely do that. Anyway,
yeah.
So the game is very fun. There's an enhanced edition for the first and second thing.
Yeah, the enhanced edition is exactly what it says. It's an enhanced edition because the original game's from 1999.
It makes the graphics a little bit better. It
doesn't change the graphics that much.
Well, it
mostly makes it compatible with newer OS systems.
Yeah,
and gives it a launcher and stuff so that you can actually play it, and it adds languages and stuff. Like the original game was only in English, because it was a North American game in 1999.
Yeah, but it also adds a couple items, actually.
Yeah, well...
A couple items, it
adds some quality of life items, right?
Like, in the game, there's certain things where you can collect gems, and there's
you can
certain,
collect gems, potions, spells, and stuff like that. The enhanced edition adds an item where it's basically just a box for those. Like, it adds a gem pouch, a potion case, and a scroll.
Because in the original game, you would just have 20 inventory slots for every single item in the game, times 6 people, so you could only carry 120 items.
Yeah, so what you would do in the original game is you just put them in the, you just put them somewhere, right? On the map, you could leave them in a chest or somewhere, like in a house.
You would leave them in a central area.
In a central area that you would remember so that you could come back to if you needed those items.
Yeah, if you needed the extra gold, if you wanted to sell them.
Yeah. I think you still end up doing that a little bit. Although they might have added a bag of holding or something. Anyway, so that you can theoretically carry infinite once you get to a certain part of the game.
There is no bag of holding in the first game.
There's second.
2 in the second game. There's really only 1.
Why?
Because the enhanced edition they added a vampire.
Oh, you added what? 3 new characters?
They added 4.
In the first
game, there's 3 new characters. In the second game, there's 4. And the fourth one in the second game is a vampire who has a coffin in a bag, so that character can die and then go back into the coffin. So the character can't really die unless you lose that bag in the coffin. But because the only way they could really think of making that bag, because the coffin was really heavy. They didn't want you to carry around just the coffin. So they just gave you an extra bag of holding with the coffin in it, and you weren't supposed to take it out.
Oh, because it has like a realistic. Oh, a coffin weighs this much.
Yeah. Which is kind of dumb in my opinion.
Kind of silly. But the game's story is very good.
Yeah.
I wish I had the opportunity to go into it without knowing what the ending was.
Yeah.
But you can't really do that because it's been out for more than 20 years.
Well, yeah, but our dad used to play it, like...
Yeah.
And he kind of, like... He could never beat it, so he looked up at the end of the story.
He didn't look up the end of the story. He knew what the way the game's story is very good in that at the end of the game you kind of know everything that's going on, but you don't 100% know everything, right? It's got a very D&D-esque story where you can find the major points of the plot. You know why the enemy's trying to kill you. You know why, you know sort of how the beginning of the game, how the beginning of the game progresses in relation to that. But you never get the sense that you know everything, right?
Yeah, until
They definitely want to make more games.
Until Baldur's Gate 2 and the expansion.
Throne of Ball.
Yeah, where it's essentially there's a couple expansions for the original game as well.
Yeah, Tales of the Sword Coast. It's just Tales of the Sword Coast, right?
Yeah. It's essentially an extra town.
They add a bunch of extra quests.
Yeah,
and they had an extra dungeon.
They had an extra late game dungeon, an extra they
had an extra late game dungeon with 2 or 3 quests associated with it. They add
what they do is they have a single quest that links to a late game dungeon somewhere else on the map. Then there's 2 quests in a random town in the north corner of the map where they could throw stuff. That take you to the island
there's
that
3 main quests.
The island that the legendary Baldur of Baldur's Gate died. And then a random mage island because they needed more stuff.
Mage Island?
Yeah.
I forgot about that one. There might have been more than I was thinking then.
Well, you do the main quest that's like on the map that isn't the island, and then you come back with like the dagger that you were supposed to retrieve for the person, for like the dwarf guy. And then
you have to do them you kind of have to do them in a specific order.
Kinda. The Mage Island one is very simple. You just talk to a guy, you say yes to a quest, he teleports you a thing, you get the thing, you teleport off.
There's one where you have to kill a big demon guy. That's the second big sort of boss.
So
you
then
fight what's his name's Tower, and then the other thing is these guys are something.
Yeah. So you do the really the correct thing to do is to do the mage thing, then to go to the island that's filled with werewolves.
Yeah.
Island food.
Yeah, it's basically mage, island filled with werewolves.
Old dwarven tower
that has like 9 levels.
It only has 4.
Oh, it only has 4.
Well, it has 4 down.
Right, I thought that was the deal. It had 4 down, 4 up.
Yeah, along with a beginning area, a top level that doesn't really have anything.
Yeah,
but
so
going up is useless. Going down is where all the treasure is.
Yeah, whatever, but it still has 9 levels. That one's filled with doppelgangers, I think.
Yeah, doppelganger. That's actually like the main villain that you end up fighting. Throughout like the thing, like the first thing is kill a bunch of kobolds. The second thing is kill a bunch of
different dungeons.
The different dungeons.
The different dungeon enemies.
The first one is
First major
kobolds.
dungeons is kobolds.
The second one really isn't a dungeon, but it's a thing.
Which
one? The second main plot point, the bandit camp. You fight bandits, and then the next one you have to run through a forest. You fight some fighters, and then you get to the second
enemies.
Dungeon. The
second real dungeon.
The second plot dungeon, essentially, and you fight like soldiers and stuff, like mercenary guards.
Well, there's always some of them are like literal, like the Knoll Stronghold is filled with gnolls.
Yeah,
it's like a dungeon type thing where you go in, but it's kind of a side quest. But in order to get some of the best, basically, no matter what party composition you're going for, you probably are going to end up doing the Knoll Stronghold.
Yeah, because one of the best items is there.
Even that, usually, the party, right, you choose to either go for a good party or an evil party.
Yeah, because if you get both good and evil, you end up with... Here, I'm gonna double check, see if it's...
I forget what happens if you try to put evil and good characters on the same party.
They end up fighting, but not as much as... I think not as much as Baldur's Gate 2.
It becomes much more relevant in Baldur's Gate 2. In the first game, you can technically...
So, the most annoying thing about having evil and good people in the party is if you have an all-evil party, it doesn't... It matters if your reputation gets high, but it doesn't really matter if your reputation gets low.
Right, that's the other thing.
If you have an all-good party, you don't really care about your reputation, you just let it go up.
Right, so for a good party, they get angry at you if you have a low reputation.
Yeah.
And then they might leave your party. And if you have an evil party, they get angry at you if you have too high a reputation. And they might leave. So it's hard to do... If you're playing the game, like... Basically, if you're playing the game, you want to go for a good party because it's way easier to get reputation than to lose it. Right? Because you almost never lose reputation unless you do something that is obviously, not supposed to be done in the game. Right? Like, you go around killing civilians or,
Yeah.
Like, you can do those things, but they provide no reward.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate has a really good way of making your actions have consequences. If you kill enough random civilians, guards will just... Not only will guards show up in town, in every single town you visit, you'll also have to spend more money on stuff because none of the shopkeepers like you because they think you're gonna kill them.
Well, that's the other deal with a good party is the price of shops' wares depends on your reputation. So if you have a really high reputation, their prices will be less than if you have a low reputation. So really, the game is pushing you to sort of go for a good party. The only problem with a good party is that there's not a good mage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So out of all the characters you can get that are the party pushes on the main character. Though, based on the balance.
As the main character, you should probably play some sort of a fighter or a multi-class or dual-class fighter or something of the sort. you should always play at least a fighter or somebody who's very
a melee
oriented.
Unless
you're going. So the thing is, if you're going evil, you don't have to be melee because you have Shartiel, Keegan,
you have
and
enough,
Dorn. You have enough. You have enough characters.
If you go
for melee, but the only reason you wouldn't go melee is to be a mage, and the evil party has the best mage in the game. The two best mages in the game.
Yeah. So the evil party, ironically, the evil party's best characters are
fighters,
the fighters and the mage. They have crappy thieves, real crappy thieves for some reason.
Yeah.
The best thief in the game is good, neutral good, which is an interesting. I don't know if they did that on purpose or that's just what happened. They have both sides have decent clerics. There's really no.
No. Almost every single cleric is either good or neutral.
Yeah, that's true.
Or yeah, so there's a single good cleric. There's a single evil cleric. No, actually, there's two neutral clerics and there's an evil cleric. There's a drow. There's a drow evil cleric. There's a. Actually, there's only two clerics in the game, so you might want to be a cleric.
Well, no. Healing wise, obviously, cleric isn't always. You're not always going to have a cleric. You can sometimes have a druid.
Yeah.
But that's the other option. Why is this guy on my tail? I'm going nearly 40 miles per hour.
Anyway.
But both evil and good parties have decent clerics enough.
Yeah. So. Yeah, you're never gonna need a.
In terms of, I guess the only other, and then you have an extra slot. You always want 3 melee fighters.
You always want 3 melee fighters.
And out of the ranged, one has to be a thief and one has to be a mage. So you have an extra ranged slot.
Yeah. So
usually a ranger, another thief. I forget who you pick up. For the evil party, it's usually your character. Your character is some sort of ranged. Usually goes for range, not
you can.
Melee.
Yeah, but because all of the clerics are neutral, generally you pick up another cleric because you don't. You never. A good party can subside with only one cleric because they're always going to have a Jontis, who's a paladin.
Yeah.
So they're always going to have somebody who can lay on hands.
But actually, in terms of the good and evil, good and evil parties, the overall parties are pretty balanced, right?
Yeah.
In general, the game itself is pretty balanced. You need a whole walkthrough to even sort of get close to the point where you're cheating the game somehow.
Yeah.
But even then, you're not really cheating the game. You just know all the stuff about the game. It's more knowledge than.
When I first played the game, I used a walkthrough because I was lazy.
Yeah, you are really lazy.
Anyway.
I think it's in the second game though that you really do get a point where if you use the guide, you are kind of cheating because you're using. They've got some. It's not really hacks or. It's more exploits using the stealing system.
Well, that's just an idea that isn't. That if you don't know it, you don't know it. So in Baldur's Gate 2, you can. There's an ability where you can use your Thieves' Pickpocket score to steal items directly from the vendor. You couldn't do this in the original Baldur's Gate. So you can steal them, and then you can sell those items to a fence or essentially you essentially steal the items and then you sell them to somebody on the black market. You can do that infinitely. You can steal an item, sell it,
get money. Yeah.
And so it's just more of
you can steal potions of master thievery.
Yeah.
Which give you more higher score to be able to steal things.
Yeah.
And then use that potion of master thievery to steal more potions of master thievery and other items, right? So
honestly,
so
a walkthrough in Baldur's Gate 2 isn't bad because it's so complicated.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate 2 is a lot more but it's just a lot more dense.
Yeah, it's a complete reversal from the original game. The original game, you start with no idea what you're doing. You're kind of just wandering around in a big open area. In the second game, you have to do that, and you're in a giant city. You're in a giant city. There's almost nothing outside the giant city besides specific quest areas and like a couple towns.
Yeah, in the first game, you have no direction. In the second game, you have too many directions.
Yeah.
Which is basically the same idea, right? Open world. The only difference is open world where the world is open, as opposed and like you have no arrows pointing anywhere, to open world where you get into the world and you suddenly have 5 quest markers just by entering the world.
Yeah.
Right? As opposed to a game where you have to go find the quest markers. They're both pretty good. Like they're neither of them's wrong.
Like you can there's also a 1.5 called Siege of Dragonspear. I haven't played it.
Yeah, we haven't played that.
You can buy Baldur's Gate 1, 1.5, and 2 for $50.
For Switch.
For
I want to get
yeah.
Do we have a physical copy of that?
Yeah.
Have you played Siege of Dragonspear then?
No, I'm working on completing.
Oh. Well, yeah, Baldur's Gate is pretty good. They're making a third one.
Yeah.
But the third one's completely. It's basically for the first 2 and 1.5, it's all the same storyline.
You're the same character.
You're supposed to be the same character. For the third one, it's completely different.
It's supposed to be 100 years after the second game.
Yeah. So the only relevant thing is the fact that it also takes place in Baldur's Gate, the city.
The second one doesn't even take place in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, the second one
nowhere near Baldur's Gate.
Yeah, the second one's in a different area. But obviously gameplay coming out, so you're looking forward to that.
I'm should be watching it right now. It's already 13 minutes.
Okay, well, yeah, Peter's leaving. That was yeah. Bye.